All right, stages of faith. So, we learned in class about the 6 stages of faith: one, two, three, four, five, six. Starts with the recognition of God, moves to a life of discipleship, then on to a productive life, next to doubts, then to a journey inward, and finally ends with a life of love. Now, what we learned in class is that you enter in stage 1, you move on to stage 2, then to stage 3, then 4. At stage 4, you hit a wall of doubt, and once you break through that wall, you can proceed to 5, and finally on to 6. At each stage, there is something that can trap you, that can cage you, get you stuck in that stage. And in order to get out of it, a lot of times you have to go back to the previous stage. So you get stuck in a life of discipleship when you're very rigid in your righteousness. Maybe you have to go back and stand in awe of God, humble yourself. You get stuck in a productive life by being burnt out, so maybe you need to go back and focus on being in your community and your own spiritual growth. However, I see all of this not linearly. I think that one dimension does not capture the complexity of the stages of faith, of your faith development. I think that it's three-dimensional. A funnel. So the rim of the funnel is these first 3. You have recognition of God. You have a life of discipleship. And you have a productive life. I think that someone can enter their faith anywhere along the rim. Certainly, a lot of people enter the faith by seeing something that God has done and being in awe of Him, or having these questions and searching for something, searching for God, a curiosity. But I think that other people maybe enter through a life of discipleship. And what that might look like is not recognizing God, but recognizing your own brokenness, recognizing that you need a community, searching for that meaning and belonging, maybe even some self-help type stuff that ends up leading them to Christ, where they're trying to improve themselves, and they find out that the reason they feel like they need to improve themselves is because their likeness of Christ is marred. Or a productive life, where if this is recognizing God, this is recognizing your own brokenness. A productive life would be recognizing the brokenness of the world, recognizing that this world is broken, seeing hungry people and going to a soup kitchen, not because you think that you're serving God and advancing His kingdom, but seeing that there are hungry people and you want to go feed them. So you go start working at a soup kitchen on the weekends. And eventually, that draws you closer and closer to God. I think that someone can enter in any of those ways, recognizing God, recognizing themselves, recognizing the world. Now, the key is to not get stuck at any one of these 3. I agree with that part of this, that there are dangers at each part where you can get stuck. When you recognize God, you can get stuck with the sense of worthlessness. But I don't think the only way to get rid of that is to be reminded that you are loved, that you are worthy of love. I think that getting out of that could also be finding this meaning and belonging that's part of discipleship. Learning more about who you are, not just your brokenness, but that you were created in the image of God, that you are a child of God, and walking along that journey. Or it can be living a productive life. If you think that you're worthless, go out and start serving and exercise your value. See the impact that your good works have. So I think that if you're stuck here, You can go either way, but you got to go. You got to move. If you get stuck in a productive life, it's burnout. It's being weary and well-doing. And I don't think that the only way out of that is to go back to a life of discipleship. Certainly you can. Go back to your community. Get encouragement from your fellow journeyers. Work on your own spiritual development. But also, you can go stand in awe of God. Go stand in awe of Him. Be reminded of who He is. If you get stuck in a life of discipleship, that's being rigid in righteousness. That's that holier than thou attitude, where you are now a good Christian, and you look and you see all these sinful people, and you have correct theology, and other people are mistaken. Other people are wrong. Two ways out of that. One is to go stand in awe of God. Be reminded that God is God, and you are a human, and you need to be humble. You are still sinful, even if you think that you have it all figured out. Or, go start serving. Don't focus so much on yourself. Go serve other people. Go out in the real world and get your hands dirty. And you're probably going to find out that you aren't as right as you thought you were. But the key, when you're on the rim, is to keep on moving. Keep on moving. Because if you stop anywhere along the rim, what's going to happen? What happens when you stop pedaling when you're on a bicycle? You fall over. And you have the world out here constantly pulling at you, trying to get you to come away from the funnel, trying to pull you away. And so if you stop, it's going to get you. If you get holier than thou for too long, it's going to grab you. If you feel you're worthless for too long, you're going to fall. If you get burnt out, you're done for. But if you keep on moving in God's timing, by God's will, at some point, you're moving around, and at some point, you'll find yourself not on the rim anymore. You'll find yourself going down, around and around and around, down. That is the stage of doubt. You start asking questions. Is God really there? Does He hear me when I pray? Did Jesus really rise from the dead? Does the Bible have anything to say? When I go to church on Sunday, am I really doing anything worthwhile? What is this Holy Spirit they keep talking about? I used to think I felt it, but I don't feel some Holy Spirit living in me. The danger here is either that you start resisting as you're going down, you start trying to grab against the wall, slowing yourself down. That's probably not going to work. Once it starts, you probably aren't going to be able to stop it. The worst danger is that the people who are still on the rim, especially the people who are stuck right here, might see you start doubting, and they're going to be reaching down. No. You don't want to go there. You don't want to. No, come back up here. Come back up here, where it's nice and safe, and we know everyone, and it's comfortable. But don't go down there. We don't know what's down there. You don't want to go there. And as you get closer and closer and closer to the bottom of the funnel, it starts getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And there's the wall. your last chance, where it's tight, I guess where it's tight enough that like you can, flare out your arms and legs and hold yourself there, where they're getting more and more desperate. They see you getting to the bottom of the funnel, and so they're getting more and more desperate to save you, to pull you back up before you get there. But if you let yourself go through the tunnel, break through the wall, I can't really speak to what's at the bottom of the funnel because I'm not there. I think I've gotten glimpses of it. I think that I've had little foretastes of stages 5 and 6, but I can't really speak to it for sure. I'm not sure if stage 5 and 6 are really separate. If they're really different in kind or just different in degree. Maybe, this is kind of the idea I have in my head right now, maybe stage 5 is right here at the bottom, and you have this journey inward, where you have found your inner peace. You have found this peace. You know what God created you for. There's a calm and a stillness, and you're transformed. You're something different than you were in the funnel. While stage 6 branches out, and you aren't just there, but you see it all. You see the journey you were on. You see the people who are still on the rim. But you don't see them in a judgmental way. You see them in a compassionate way. You see that they're on the right path. So you go up there and you serve them and you pray with them and for them, and maybe when you see someone who's moving really good, who has good momentum going around the circle, you might give them a little nudge. Ask them a couple questions. You see the people who are going down the funnel, and they're scared. And so you go to them and you offer them encouragement. And you help them on that journey downward instead of trying to pull them back up. And you have the people up here who are trying to pull those people up, and you just want to tell them to get away. Let the spiritual journey happen. So yeah, I don't know for sure about the stages 5 and 6. I don't know if I have that right. That's just my idea of where it's at right now. But yeah, that's kind of how I envision the stages of faith as 3-dimensional instead of a 1-dimensional line.